everyone, welcome back to Novel Idea. My name is Dia and this is Puppy. And today I would like to go over the rest of what I finished reading in July, at the end of July. I already wrapped up the first part of the month of July earlier. So this is just going to be the ones that I finished at the end, and that is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. So we're going to talk about these 7, and then I'll tell you also where I am on the bingo board, and also talk to you about Chantel Reads All Day's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge, and let you know what I read in July for that challenge also. Okay, so let's get started. So the first book that I'll tell you about is called The Great Book of King Arthur, and this is by John Matthews, and it is illustrated, and it's illustrated by another John. I think it's Howe, John Howe, and this I loved. I thought it was wonderful. It is not a reiteration of the typical King Arthur myth stories. So the Le Morte d'Arthur is probably the most well-known compendium of translated stories. I'll put a picture of it up on the screen because what this author did was he took the stories that were not translated for Le Morte d'Arthur and decided that some of those stories really needed to be told, and so he translated them, and that is what this book is. So this is stories that you probably have never heard as a part of the King Arthur legend myth, and he did a great job. They're really well done. I didn't enjoy the illustrations quite as much as I did the rest of the book, but the stories were just so well told, and they really did fit the King Arthur narrative so well. You learn a lot more about the background of a few of the knights that is told, but it's not like elaborated on in Le Morte d'Arthur. And so I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was wonderful. I would highly recommend it if you enjoy King Arthur and all of the Knights of the Round Table. I read finally Illuminations by T Kingfisher, and this is more of a, I would say, upper middle grade young YA novel. It is about a family who create illumination paintings, and they have magical abilities. So they might paint an illumination on the garbage can to keep the garbage from smelling. They might paint a illumination on the doorways and windows of a home to keep flies from coming in. It just all different kinds of things like that. And this is particularly about a young illumination painter who hasn't really come into her abilities quite yet, and she feels quite sidelined as a result of it. And so it took me starting this book like 3 different times before I finally could read through it. And once I got past a certain point in it, I really enjoyed it. Up until that point, for me, it just felt like whiny. But I did enjoy it. There's a mystery and a mishap that happens that they have to figure out how to resolve. And of course, she comes into her powers during that whole time, and she finds out that she really does have a place, even if she never came into her powers. She finds out that she does have a place in her family, a very special place. And she finds out some things about herself along the way too. It was really good. I enjoyed it. Then I read Crow Call by Lois Lowry. And this is a short story, and it's illustrated, and so I think that it could count as a graphic novel, although it's not illustrated like a comic where it would be, boxes with whoever is talking in the scene in that box or whatever. Like, it's not illustrated like that. It is about a man who comes back from war and is trying to be the father that his very young daughter has never known, because he's been at war her whole life. So it's a soldier coming home story, but it's also a family story, and it's beautiful. It's about this young girl who goes out one morning with her father to basically shoot crows because they are getting into their corn. And so they need to reduce the population of crows. And it's this story of how he realizes what she needs, and then she realizes what he's truly made of, what his heart really wants. And it's just a very sweet, very beautiful story, and has real autumn vibes. So if you wanted to read it in autumn, it would be the perfect time. Then I read book 3 of Matthew Shardlake series by CJ Sansom. It's called Sovereign. It was my least favorite so far out of the ones that I have read. I really, really, really liked the first one. The second one I liked less, but I still liked several of the characters that we really get to know in that book. And in the third book, those characters that I thought I was getting to know didn't turn out to be quite the characters that I thought they were. At least one of them didn't in Sovereign. And then we've also lost quite a few characters that we got to know in the first couple of books. By the third book, those characters are gone. And so it's almost like it's a brand new story in some ways. And Shardlake himself is also struggling a little bit. And one of the things that I loved about the first couple of books was just his character and the strength of that character. And so with him struggling a little bit in the third book to really know who he is and to hold fast to what he truly believes is a difficult thing to walk through. And so I didn't enjoy it quite as much. But I have already started, spoiler alert for August, I've already started book 4. So it didn't put me off. All right, so the next one is selected poems of the Brontes, and this is all three of the sisters, so Charlotte, Emily, and Anne, and then also their brother Bronson. Is that right? Branwell, sorry, not Bronson, Branwell. And it's just a bunch of poems from each one of them, and fewest from Branwell. Most are Emily, and then we also get quite a bit of Anne and quite a bit of Charlotte. And I read a few of these a day and was done with it in just a little bit. It didn't take long at all. And I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. Honestly, some of my favorite poems were by Emily. I didn't like Branwell's really very much. Charlotte's were okay. Emily and Anne were my favorites of the poetry that I read out of that particular selection. Right. Then I read two cozy mysteries. I guess you could call them cozy. They are the Vampire Knitting Club series, and they are by Nancy Warren. And the first one is called The Vampire Knitting Club, and the second one is called Stitches and Witches. And they are about a young girl whose parents are archaeologists, and her grandmother lives in Oxford, England, but she is coming to visit her grandmother because she's just gotten out of a bad relationship. And so she's coming to stay with her grandmother, only to find out that her grandmother has passed away, and she has left her yarn shop in Oxford, England for her granddaughter. And her granddaughter doesn't know how to knit. She doesn't know how to crochet. She doesn't know anything like that. But she wants to honor her grandma, and she doesn't have anywhere else really to go because her parents are out on a dig somewhere. And so she decides to stay, only to find out that her grandmother has been turned into a vampire, and was, before that, originally a witch. And she finds out that she is also a witch, and that vampires live beneath the knitting store or the yarn store. And so anyway, it was crazy. It was so crazy, but it was really, really kind of fun to see that these vampires, all they want to do is create sweaters, scarves, and mittens. It was pretty cute. So yes, those were the two cozy mysteries that I read. I'll probably go on in the series. I don't know how much farther I'll go, but I'll probably read at least the third one. The Explicit Gospel. This was a reread for me, and it's by Matt Chandler. Sorry. I just felt like I needed a little bit of a kick in the pants, I guess. So the main emphasis of this book is that the gospel is not supposed to be private. It's not supposed to be withheld. It's supposed to be explicit. And so if people around you don't know where you stand in relationship to the gospel, you are probably not truly living an explicit gospel, because people would know if it was explicit. And so anyway, I just needed to kind of hear read again the things that he had to say. I really like Matt Chandler. Love listening to him preach. The book is not my favorite. I will say that. I think that sometimes he gets a little too much into the weeds of things, but I like overall what he has to say. That is everything that I read in July, or that I read at the end of July. So I would love to know what your favorite book was that you read in July. And also, have you read the Matthew Shardlake series? Because if you have, I'd love to know kind of your thoughts, how far into the series you've read and all of that. I would just really like to know, like, if I'm going too far into the series, does it just kind of peter out? Because if it does, then maybe I can be done with it. But I'm really enjoying, I really enjoyed the first two, and the first one especially, and I would just love for it to be more of that. So I'd love to hear if you've read more than I have and what your thoughts on it are. Yeah, and just talk to me about whatever you want to in the comments. Oh, wait, we need to do the bingo board. So I'm going to put it up here so you can see what books I put in, but I'm almost done with a second bingo board. I think I have like 3 or 4 squares left on the current bingo board that I'm doing. One of the ones that is going to move over into August, because I did not finish it, is Fiddler's Green. And so I will be continuing to read this into August. Probably my favorite part of August, of July, was the letters from Gladys Tabor and Barbara Webster in Still Meadow and Sugar Bridge. And it's not able to be wrapped up yet because I'm doing it month by month, because that's the way the letters are written in here. And I still have, clear until next year to be reading the letters if I continue to do it that way. But my favorite part so far of my month has been this book and the letters that were being written back and forth. I'm just really enjoying it. So, okay. And then I will also put up here Chantel Reads All Day's challenge. I'm on the Doyle path for the challenge. And so I'll put the book up here that I read for that from my shelf. All right, so that is everything now. Okay, so I will see you again very soon in another video. So go ahead and like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Bye.